We began this journey together for this one central tenet that we want Pakistan to be transformed from where it is today to a glorious future tomorrow. And yes, we're here today for several missteps, hundreds perhaps of missteps that we went through over the last 75 years of our journey, of our existence. And yes, there would be a right time when we could sit and talk about what happened, why happened, who did what, and first to do a detailed postmortem. But this is not the time and place for that. Right now, we're just looking at where we are, and we're trying to create a pathway between here and the future tomorrow, and we're trying to figure out some of the bridges that will hopefully get us there. So each time we take on a massive transformation project like this, there are certain steps that you must go through. One of them is you must identify all the resources that you have available to you. Now, in a best case, if the resources are working closely with you, fully aligned with the same goals and same objectives, then your journey becomes a little bit easier because now you can not only you're fully aligned, but you can leverage off of these resources. You can say that they'll take on some of the burden of everything that needs to happen in the whole transformational journey. At the same time, though, there could be some unfortunate times in situations when the resources are actually acting against you or against the long-term objectives. That's what makes your journey a little bit harder because now not only you have to complete all the transformational tasks that you have identified, you're also at times swimming upstream against maybe the self-interest or maybe against some of the resistance that is put forth by these resources. So let's try to figure out in case of Pakistan, where we are today, about what resources do we have and what we could expect from them. And hopefully, if we can keep our fingers crossed and if we can reach a point where they all willingly and knowingly come on board and begin to support the entire process, then we could say that we can actually see a monumental shift ahead of us. So with that, let's go ahead and look at the first of these areas of these groups where we want to say what would be their roles and responsibilities to enable the whole operation, the whole set of improvements for Pakistan. We'll start off with the media. You have power. Use it wisely. Report the truth. These bullet points, I don't really have to add some more because clearly this is the central tenet. Even though the media is by their basic definition, they're out there to as presenter of the truth. But in reality, what we have seen is that they seem to be more aligned with a certain political ideologue or a certain mindset or a philosophy. We need them to be separated from that. So the next few bullet points will sort of advise how that could be done. So let's keep going. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. If you could just focus on this and the next point, that focus on and criticize the actions. Yes, absolutely. You've got the power, you've got the megaphone. Use the megaphone to point out what's wrong and one who's the if a wrong action is happening. But focus on the action itself and not on the people necessarily behind the actions. The challenge is, and again, this is central to our slides on crisis management as well. When you are in a situation where you really need every resource to come and work hand in hand with you, in those situations, we cannot afford to alienate a certain group. We need people to work with us. And the moment you start pointing fingers, or even there's even a reference or even a possibility of someone pointing fingers at you, people become defensive. That's just human defensive mechanism, our basic human psychology. We must be mindful of that. So let's not criticize people. Let's just criticize the actions. So this person did something wrong. Let's focus on what they did wrong and what the corrective measures should have been and what we can maybe do to fix things right now, rather than focusing on the person. But the moment you start putting your focus on the person themselves, then the whole equation changes. Then it becomes what their motivation was, what they were trying to do, what they were actually after. Again, all this the male intent, becomes the focus and not the item itself. Point number three, again, we just glossed over it, but what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Let's please focus on that. Let's keep going. Report all the positive developments. And yes, there will be failures. It's a long journey, it's a tedious journey, it's a treacherous journey. Things are not going to be easy. We're making a lot of assumptions. We're trying to get things done internally. We're relying a whole lot of on the outside resources as well. There would be a lot of missteps. I can completely understand that. Just like any company, any project, not everything goes according to your plan. There are missteps. There will be failures. Study what they are, report those failures, but not just report from on the failures from the standpoint of pointing at people, but let's try to get more to get something positive out of that. Propose the lessons learned, so therefore we don't end up repeating the same mistakes again. And report inspiring stories. There will be lots of small improvements, some small scale measurable results that we'll start seeing hopefully soon in the process. Let's accentuate those. Let's highlight those. Bring them to our attention. Reinforce the covenant. We have, at the beginning of this presentation, we presented a few slides on a covenant between us as individuals and the nation. The nation is going to provide certain things for us, and in return of that we all individually standing up, raising our hand, putting our hand on our heart, and taking an oath that we were committing ourselves to be doing the right things. That's our covenant. Let's reinforce that. Let's reinforce the point that we're all together. It's a fight that we're fighting for, all of us, and this is really what we need to do. And the postmortem, we've said this multiple times here and at many other presentations as well. It's all about learning what happened, why it happened, and what we could learn from them. So, and what we could do to prevent the problem from happening again. It's not about pointing fingers. Let's take the blaming part of it outside of the postmortem, but let's just focus on the learning aspects of it. And as a part of this forward-looking framework, we are trying to propose two campaigns. This is the first of them, bullet point number 10 here. It's okay to change your mind. In politics and in real life, we have unfortunately reached a point where we end up appearing as weak, as flaky, as flip-flopper, if we ever change our mind. What we say once, for the rest of our lives, the people expect us to stay loyal to our earlier statement. In reality, we can clearly see that that's really detrimental to what the reality is. When the facts on the ground change, we must change with them. Looking at the example of COVID pandemic that we've recently gone through, we didn't know a whole lot about it at the beginning of the process, but as news and as information began to trickle in, we began to learn a few things about it, and based on that, we made some certain recommendations, and over time, those recommendations changed. Clearly, that happened because the information was changing, the science was changing, the facts that we were getting was changing, people's behavior was changing, and on the basis of that, we were able to modify our recommendation. So it's absolutely okay to change your mind. But the only point to add on this point here is it's okay to change your mind, but not just arbitrarily for no reason. We cannot be flippant about it. It's okay to change our minds because the facts have changed. So let's point out what has happened. Let's point out that because of these factors, I've changed my opinion, and previously I said A, and now I'm saying B. And now this is based on the facts right now. This is what my position is, and it's absolutely okay to declare that and to state that. And closely related to this is the other campaign, which is I was wrong about. Imagine this that as people make mistakes, whether in their behavior, in their thought processes, in their belief system, we're all humans. We all make mistakes, but imagine being able to go in front of a microphone and tell the whole world about the mistake that you made. That I was wrong about this. I thought it was A, and it's actually B, I've learned it now. I figured it out, and imagine how it frees us up. Imagine the freedom and the lifting of all the weight on our shoulders. We no longer have to guard ourselves against any ramifications, any wrong innovations about our intentions. We were just wrong. It's really as simple as that. The moment we start promoting these notions, the idea that I was wrong about. The moment I start going public with this, imagine if everyone, imagine if the politicians, if our government officials, if our media members, if our celebrities, if our influencers, if they all start taking an action and say, taking a topic and say, I was wrong, and because I was wrong, I was limited in these areas, and they come up with the right, obviously what they feel right, and they come up with that statement, and we propose that. So again, we'll provide some examples later on in this presentation. Please stay tuned for that. All right. So this is what we are proposing at a high level, 11 bullet points for what media's role has got to be. Media has got to be a supporter in this entire endeavor. So, radical idea. Is it possible for us to build some kind of a report card or a truth meter for every anchor and for every guest who's appearing on these TV shows? The fact that, as we're calling out as the very first bullet point, you have power, please use it wisely. Do we start measuring it? Do we start saying maybe there should be a truth meter? Maybe there should be some, maybe not in real time, then soon thereafter, some kind of fact checking to see ideas that you're pushing out, the philosophy that you're pushing out, the criticism that you're doling out, is it true or not? Or should there be a better version of proposing what you're saying? Just a proposal, and even though we've got a detailed idea that we've developed, we'll put it out there again and again. The moment we start coming up with some kind of focus groups, we let them decide if this is something they want to run with. You will be judged. You will be judged for what you are doing. You will be judged for what you're not doing. There's a lot at stake here, and your participation, your active participation, your conscious participation is critically required, and it's important. So, with that, are you ready now to take a few oaths? You're accountable to the nation. You're committing to support and propagate the truth irrespective of who is doing it. You're committing to exposing falsehood and corruption irrespective of who's propagating it. Your loyalty must be with truth and not with a political party, a political party or thought process or philosophy. Your aim must be corrective, and your aim must not be settling political scores. And there must be a single version of truth, believed and supported by all. Imagine this. Imagine every TV station you tune to. They are all speaking the same, presenting the same facts. They may have different reasons for them to emphasize on specific aspects of those facts, and that's absolutely understandable. But imagine there being no confusion about what the truth is. Imagine for us all to be on the same page. Going back to the COVID example again, how does it spread? Are the masks relevant or not? Do they work or not? Does the vaccine work or not? Imagine having one answer, one single version of truth that is supported by everyone. How easy life could become, right?